Hello Star Citizens, Buzzkiller here, and welcome back to the channel. Now that Alpha 2.5 has been released to the PTU, I wanted to give you a look at the two new ships that are available in the patch. Now the first ship we're going to look at is the Argo utility vessel. The ship is hangar ready and flight ready. The second ship we're going to look at is the LTI Reliant Kore. I've given you a hangar tour of the ship already, but is now flight capable in Alpha 2.5. So without further ado, let's get started. Now before we get started, I want to apologize for the lighting and the overall fogginess of the hangar here. In this patch they retooled the lighting system and it made Grim Hex look really good, but unfortunately the rest of the game, it caused some issues, at least in this build. Hopefully in the build for the PTU that you're playing now and the live release, they'll have a lot of this fixed. But you can see a lot of glare, the lights get really bright, and again, that fog is pretty thick. But we're going to power through this and get started with the Argo utility vessel. Now the ship comes in two variants currently. The cargo variant you see here, and the transport variant. There's a third variant that's not quite in game yet, and that's for search and rescue. Now I kind of hesitate to call these variants because the ship is supposed to be a modular utility vessel and the pods are supposed to be interchangeable. But unfortunately that system is not yet in game, so they've given us the three variants. Well, two variants in this build. But before we dive into the different modules, let's start off with the ship itself. Now the Argo is really nothing more than a small cockpit with some supporting structure and landing gear. The thrusters are built into the side landing gear here. You can see the main thruster on top because these landing gear fold up and retract and fold up. Now maneuvering is accomplished by these hockey pucks. You can see the side thrusters, and then there's more thrusters around the outside of the circle of the hockey puck here. And there's a set here on the landing gear and a set on the main ship. Really nice little design. Very compact. And I think these might be main thrusters as well, but I'm not sure. They could just be coolers or I don't know. But it looks really cool. I like the paint job, very utilitarian, very construction equipment-like. And when we get into the ship, I like this animation. This is the first ship I've seen with Lambo doors. So very cool there. And you can see once we get in, it's very cramped, very bare bones. Looks like we've got possibly a access panel there. You've got your primary displays and your yoke, and that's about it. Let's go to an external view. Very tiny ship. I should have put in a larger ship here so you can compare it, but you'll see how small it is once you get a chance to try one out. Now the top of the ship, it looks like there's a airlock there, possibly. Maybe that's for the search and rescue variant because it's not used in the cargo variant that I know of. I know it's not in the transport variant. There's another look at those main thrusters on the top of the landing gear. I think the retro thrusters are included in the hockey pucks. The ship is quite slow. I'll show you the cruise speed and its max speed once we actually take it for a quick test flight. Because yes, I'll take it for a test flight for you. But yeah, it's a utility vessel. It doesn't have a jump drive. It doesn't have a quantum drive. It's just for supporting your main ship. So let's go ahead and hop out. And we'll take a look at the modules. Now the cargo module has 3 entrances. There's 2 on the sides. And your main loading hatch, which is accessed by pressing this button here. Now it looks to me like the ship could probably carry 2 cargo containers for 2 standard cargo units. And you have a button here to close the door. But again, very cramped in here, very small. It actually was made larger because if you remember during the Morrow tour, we started off by sitting on this seat, and then the rest of the ship was just full, and Morrow poked his head in there. But the ship in that Morrow tour was a lot smaller, so they've expanded it, made it a little bit bigger. Looks really good. Let me jump out of the seat here. And we'll go take a look at the transport variant. So the transport variant is a little bit wider, and instead of 1 jump seat, it has 8. Now this is possibly this pod possibly doubles as an escape pod. I think this, you see it has the Aegis logo on it. I think this is actually one of the escape pods, either from the Idris or from the Javelin. It has its own landing gear, its own maneuvering thrusters, so I don't know, it may be. But that's one of the things we'll just have to wait and see. Again, sorry for the lighting, it's quite bright in here. I'm actually going to duck down, because in this build you do clip through the ceiling a bit. And here you can see the 8 jump seats. And you can actually sit in these seats, but I'm not going to. There we go. But it looks pretty good. Okay, so let's take the Argo out for a test flight. Now unfortunately I do have to do this in Port Olisar, as since the Argo has no weapons, it's not allowed in Arena Commander, not even free flight mode. So please bear with me as the frame rate is a bit choppy in this build. So let's go ahead and hop in. Watch the ship power up. And let's take off and get away from the pad. Alright, I'm going to go to an external view real quick and show you the landing gear and how that retracts. So the new landing system in Star Citizen allows you to raise and lower your landing gear at any time. In order to get out of precision mode, you have to raise your gear. So you do that by pressing the N, as in Nick or November key. And you can see that the gear retracts and swivels up. And that points some more thrusters to the rear. I think these are main thrusters. Yeah, they looks like they're main thrusters as well. Then you can see the hockey puck as I maneuver, firing in different directions. So all fixed system. Very simple, but I'm sure also very reliable. All right, let's go back to an internal view. You can see now that we're in SCM, the ship does 150 meters per second as its maximum speed. So obviously not going to win any races here. Let's see how she does with Afterburner. Afterburner brings us up to 200 meters per second. And in cruise, you can see we get up to a whopping 300 meters per second, which is slower than the SCM speed of an Origin 350R. But again, the ship is not a racing ship. It's not a fighter. It is a utility vessel designed to transport cargo and personnel between your ship and a station or a dock. I don't think you'd want to go from space to a planet, though, because I think it would just take too long. Despite all that, the ship maneuvers fairly well. I mean, it's no Gladius, but does decent for a utility ship. But anyway, since the frame rate seems to continue to drop here, I'm going to go ahead and cut this part short. But there's your Argo. Next up, I wanted to take a quick look at the Reliant Kore. Now, I know I've already given you a tour of the ship and the hangar, but I wanted to point out the weapons loadout. Now, stock, the ship comes with two size 1 M3A laser cannons, which is kind of pathetic, really. I know it's not a combat vessel. It is primarily designed as a small cargo hauler, but yeah, that's pretty sad. But what's nice is the end caps here. Now, supposedly, we're going to be able to get a fully articulated turret here that will mount 2 more size 1 weapons on a very, very well articulated gimbal. But for now, we can place up to a size 3 fixed weapon or size 2 gimbaled weapon. Now, let me demonstrate with the Panther repeater. This is a size 3 laser repeater. And there it is. So the ship can have some bite if you outfit it. On the other side, I just want to demonstrate the gimbal for those of the preferred gimbals. So I'm going to put this size 3 gimbal on. And well, it looks like it already mounted a size 2 weapon on it. So this is a size 3 gimbal with a size 2 Badger repeater. But I'm a joystick pilot, so I prefer my fixed weapons. And we'll stick to that for the test. And there you go. Okay, so here we are in Broken Moon for a quick initial test flight of the Reliant. I've started us off here in horizontal mode, so you can watch the ship transition from horizontal to vertical mode. And you do that again by pressing the N key. So let's find a good view here. Let's do start from the front. Move away where there's a little bit less glare. And you can watch the pilot as he rotates, and the engines rotate as well. Very nice. Very cool looking. Let's transition back. I like how the wings, little winglets on the side there, fold in. And the engines swivel down for landing mode. But also, there's the little irising portions of the engine retract as well. Let's watch that as we transition back into flight mode. Yeah, so the engines actually get longer when in flight mode. So that's pretty cool. Ship makes some really cool sounds. The maneuvering thrusters are kind of similar to the Argo in that you have fixed thrusters that are pointed in every direction. Of course, the front of the engines, main engines there, are supposed to be retro thrusters, but I don't see any effects coming out of them. A little bit of afterburner there. Let's go into first person. So in SCM mode, the ship's doing 210 meters per second. It's not bad. With afterburner, that kicks it up to 320. And I can't go into cruise mode in Arena Commander, obviously, but the cruise speed, I believe, is about 610. So, decent. Again, it's not a racer, it's not a fighter. It's primarily a small cargo hauler. Now, what's really odd about the ship is, similar to the Xi'an Scout, it's vertical, but unlike the Xi'an Scout, the weapons are also oriented vertically when you're in this mode. So let's fire our main weapons, our initial weapons. There's our size 1 cannons the ship comes with. And then, of course, I put the size 3 repeaters on top. So that's kind of unique in that this ship has a vertical firing position. Very interesting. Maneuverability-wise, the ship's rotational speed is a little low, kind of to be expected. Its pitch speed is actually pretty quick. It yaws, I mean, it rotates really quick in this pitch axis. Unfortunately, the maneuverability isn't as good as in the pitch axis, so you don't change directions as fast when you're pitching. But you do change directions fairly quickly in the yaw axis, so it's kind of yaw biased, even though the rotation isn't as good in the yaw. Now, when we are able to switch it into horizontal mode and fly it that way, I expect that'll change. Obviously, you'll be able to pitch a little bit faster in that mode. Well, the rotation will be slow, but you know, everything will flip-flop. Unfortunately, right now, when I switch into landing mode, which I'll do, it sticks me in precision mode, so I can't do more than 50 meters per second. But I can tell that the yaw rotation is faster. So the rotation sticks with the orientation of the wings. But overall, I really like the ship so far. I'll test it out in some Arena Commander and PvP, and eventually I will give you the full review of the ship once the patch goes live. Now, in my previous videos, I promised you that I would give you this ship. This is going to be a giveaway ship. So if you want to win this ship, go ahead in the comments below, put in a comment, and I will enter you into the drawing. Now, if you want to see the official rules, it's just a bunch of legal mumbo-jumbo. Basically, just look in the link of the description of the video below. But really, it's just for legal purposes. So just push your comment in, and I will add you to the list, and I will make the drawing in my next Reliant video, which will be the Reliant full review. And then once that video is out, I will contact the winner, and yeah, you'll have yourself a new Reliant. So until next time, this has been Buzzkiller, and I'll see you in the verse.